Welcome. Welcome to Round Glass. I'm Vimalasara, aka Valerie Mason John. Thank you so much for joining me for this meditation in honor of Suicide Prevention Week. I would like to invite us to take 1 minute of silence for those who have taken their lives out of distress. I'm aware that that minute may have felt really long. And I really just want to say something about the word suicide because I know for some people this can be a really activating word because in some countries, suicide is actually illegal. And even in the country that I live in, up until the 60s and 70s, suicide was deemed illegal. In America, it was seen as a felony. And so just imagine having somebody you love who took their life and then charges were brought upon the family or the person. So I'm going to refer to taking our life. Yeah. And let's just place a hand on our heart before we begin a grounding, just noticing what you're feeling in your body right now as we settle into this collective experience. Just know that there are many of you listening to me right now. And just so know that we are together doing this practice. And we're going to do a practice called love. Yes, love. Just notice what happens to the body when I say love. Notice if there's constriction. Notice if there's expansion. And just know as we do this practice, you can walk, you can get up, you can stand, you can sit, you can lie down. Because this is a moment for you to connect to love. We know that when we are in a place of wanting to take our lives, love is far from our heart minds. Those of us who are wanting to take our life out of distress or anger or frustration or real pain. Because I do want to say that we know that some people do take their life out of love if they've been diagnosed with a terminal illness. They take it out of love. So we're focusing on those of us who have attempted to take our lives out of stress, frustration, anger, resentment, hatred, and focusing on those souls who took their lives in that way. L stands for like. So in this moment now, we're going to learn to like every bit of ourselves. Yes, every bit of ourselves, regardless of our skin color, race, religion, gender, ability, oddities, or quirks. And I'm inviting you to find one thing that you like about yourself. It may be your voice, your hands, your smile, or something that somebody likes about you. And let's focus on this one thing that you like about yourself. And if you're struggling to find something, I invite you to just like the fact that you are here with me now. Yeah, that's a loving thing that you are doing right now, being here with me now. So let's focus on this thing that we like about ourselves. So as we learn to love ourselves, we are going to own our uniqueness. So O stands for owning, owning your uniqueness. We are all unique. We are all different. And that's what makes us special, our uniqueness. Open up to your authentic self and stand or sit or lay down or walk strong in your uniqueness. Open up your heart, have the sense of your heart just opening up. Yes, your heart expanding. And as your heart opens up, invite yourself to stand under a cloud of love. Imagine a bright cloud above your head, beginning to shower you with love. Go on, just stand under this cloud of love and let it shower you. Just let this rain fall on you, and each raindrop is a drop of love. Can you feel it? And if you can't feel it, just imagine drops of love, raindrops just dropping on you from the cloud above, and each raindrop is a drop of love. We know that when we stand under a cloud, it doesn't discriminate if you're standing under a cloud and the cloud is open up and the rain is pouring. It pours directly on us. Yes. So you will not be missed out. Enjoy the raindrops of love. And I'm just here, just imagining when it rains at night and we walk out and we see the plants and they're perked up, everything's perked up. So allow these raindrops of love to perk you up, to ignite the vitality in your body as you receive these drops of love. V stands for validating your existence, your presence. You exist. Yes. Every one of you here right now exist, and you are here right now. No longer do you have to hide yourself, beat yourself up with all the negative self-talk. This barrage of self-hate has been protecting your existence, keeping you small so your presence would not be diminished even further. And you are still here. Yes. Your existence was never taken away from you. It just hid itself from all the unkind people in your life. So now it's time to validate yourself. Place a hand on your body and validate yourself. Thank yourself for making sure that you did not completely lose yourself. You are still here now. Let's breathe into that. Yes. Really see if you can feel the body. Feel the body on your seat. Feel the body laying down, sitting, standing, walking. Really see if you can feel the body. Stretch the body. Yes. And validate yourself. E stands for extinguishing all the negative words or thoughts that have been projected onto you. Yes, some of these old narratives will come back every now and then, and that's okay. You don't need to fight them. Just know when these narratives arise in the heart mind, it's telling us that we are experiencing vulnerability. And when we experience vulnerability, we flee to the familiar stories. It's almost as if it's easier to be with the familiar stories than to be with the unfamiliarity of vulnerability. And when these old narratives arise, we can just tell these old narratives that the intellectual mind knows they are not true. And we can ask these stories to relax. Just tell the stories to relax. Tell these stories to step aside so you can have this moment of love. Allow the word to love, allow the word love to vibrate in your whole body. Love, 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 love. Now hear yourself say, I love my skin color. I really do love my skin color. I love my race. I really do love my race. I love the shape of my body. I really do love the shape of my body. And maybe I haven't mentioned something that you love. This is an opportunity for you to say some of the things that you love about yourself. Go on. How does it feel in the body to hear yourself say, I love myself? Breathe into your whole body and relax. And I'm going to say the word love several more times and really allow the word to vibrate in your whole body. Love, love, love. L stands for like everything about yourself. Learn to like yourself. O stands for own your uniqueness. V stands for validate your existence. E stands for extinguish all those negative stories and words that have been projected onto us, and sit in love. And may we continue to sit in love as we explore this theme of trying to take our lives or taking our lives. I want to begin with asking all of you a question. What do you hope to learn from today's session? What do you hope to get from today's session? What brought you here? You are here because something brought you here today. So I really want you to reflect on that. But first, I will share a bit about myself, and any time that you experience the impulse to write what brought you here or a question, just put it into the chat and we will come back to it. I know sometimes when we hear somebody speaking, we spin off and we hear what's in our head, and I want to encourage you to hear what's in your head and write it down so that we can begin to have a conversation, a dialogue. So this theme of taking one's life is a really it's a theme that resonates with me. It resonates. If I talk from the present now, I know that many people who have addictive behaviors, many of them, somewhere in their head is they're just wanting to take their lives. It's just a slow way of taking their lives. Not all people with addictions, but many people with addictions would rather be dead. And I know myself, when I was in that hell realm of addiction, I wish that I would wake up dead. Yes. But let me go back in time. At the age of 12 was the first time that I tried to take my life. And I don't think I was really serious. I knew it was an option. One of my friends, I was living in a kids' home, and one of my friends had tried to take her life, and so I thought, yeah, let me try and take my life, and I did it to get attention. Yeah, I I wanted somebody to notice me. I wanted somebody to see that I was struggling. And nobody did notice me. Nobody even asked me what was going on for me. In fact, people would always say, Valerie Jane, she's strong. Yeah. And then I attempted to take my life at the age of 13. And I remember that I was living in this. It was an assessment centre. It was this place where children had been removed from really vulnerable situations, and I'd tried to take my life, and I ended up in hospital, and I'd had my stomach pumped, and I can remember the boss of the children's home coming to my bed and saying, "What are you? A twit?" That's what he said. That was it. Was never asked again why. And the last time I attempted to take my life, I really, really meant it. That was it. I was in my first love relationship, and my partner, who was 20 years older than me, she had tried to take her life. And I remember thinking, if she can't cope, how can I cope? And it was like a switch. It was like this switch. And when I made that decision to take my life, it was like I was a robot. It was like this tiny homunculus was on the seat of my mind and just drove me to do what I needed to do to take my life. Yeah. And I'm sharing this because I know that there will be some people here on this call who've had relatives who have taken their life and can't understand and think, if only they thought of me, would they have done it? And I want to tell you that when we choose to take our lives in that moment, we do not think about anybody else. The only thing that's in our mind is that we have made that decision, and it's as if these endorphins, it's as if they're the brain releases these pleasure endorphins, and we are in the zone. That's all I can say is what I remember. We are just in the zone, and we cannot think about anybody else. That's what we've decided to do. And I was found, and I would say, fortunately, I was found because I love my life today. I love my life. I used to think that the only option I had to deal with the intense struggle that I had in my life was to take my life. I thought that was the only option that I had. Yeah. And fortunately, I learned that there were other options. Yeah. And so some of the things that I want to say before I talk about those of you who have had relatives who have taken their lives, it's really important, if we're struggling, that we find somebody who will listen to us. And I want to say that often what happens when we choose to do this, we choose to take our lives, or sometimes people might think it's just not a choice, that they don't have a choice. We close down, we stop talking. And I want to remind you, you can see me tapping the floor here because I'm touching the earth. I'm touching the earth to remind us that we are interconnected, and to remind you that the Prince Siddhartha, who became the Buddha, before he became the Buddha, touched the earth, the ground of being, and asked for help. Yes. And how can we begin to ask for help? Some of us stop asking for help because we asked for help as children and nobody listened to us. And we have to keep on asking for help until somebody listens to us. What happens is we ask for help, people don't pay attention, and we close down. And just know that for some people, when they close down, it isn't about you. They are just unable to respond. They just don't know what to do. And so we need to ask for help. Once upon a time, I can remember when I was in that relationship where I chose to take my life. I remember I did ask for help. I did. I rang the Samaritans, which was a phone line for people who are distressed. And there are many phone lines out there that if we can just pick up the phone and just ask for help, and we can be anonymous. We don't have to give our names. Let me take a pause because for some of you who are listening, I know that at some point you may have attempted to have taken your life. And some of you may be thinking about it right now. So let's take a pause and place a hand on your heart and just ask the thoughts to relax. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. I do want to talk about the people who are left. I'm sure many of you have had people who have taken their life. And throughout my life, through my teens into adulthood, there have been people who have taken their life out of distress, out of anger, and it's really painful for the people who are left. And I just want to share this experience. The last time somebody took their life, it was the impact that I saw on the mother. Forget about the impact on me. I remember just being in the streets with the mother, and there were other women there, and the mother is on the ground outside of the hospital screaming, "My daughter is dead. My daughter is dead." And we had our hands on her back, and I could feel the deep pain in this mother, the deep confusion, the deep pain in this mother. And at the time, I could feel that deep pain of this mother. I knew that her daughter would have been experiencing this same deep pain. And so there's one thing that you could just get from this anecdote, that when we wonder why has this person done it? Why did my child do this? Why did my partner do this? Why did my sibling do this? Why did my friend do this? Just know that they too were in this deep pain and didn't know what else to do. If they did know what else, something different to do, they would have done it. And I know that's hard. And we have to learn to be compassionate with ourselves. Yeah. And sometimes it's not because we weren't a good parent, we didn't listen. Sometimes, and many times, it's got nothing to do with us. And sometimes it does have something to do with us. And if it does have something to do with us, we have to learn to be compassionate and just know that we did our best. In that moment, we did our best. And we have to learn to be compassionate, because we do know there's something called the silver thread, that silver thread that can pull us when the person has crossed over to the other side, that there's a silver thread that can be pulling us, and we need to cut the thread so that we can begin to do something different, begin to heal ourselves. Yes, because when somebody has taken their life, there is healing that we have to do. I would love to hear what some of you have shared. I'd love to hear what perhaps you would like to get from this session. And so I'm going to read some of these thoughts and respond to them with compassion. And so the first, my own feeling of overwhelm and how to accept what has brought me here. And so to all of you who experience overwhelm, I want to say to you is, unpack, perhaps if you've got a pen right now, write down, what is the story of overwhelm? Okay, what is the story of overwhelm? And when was the first time you experienced overwhelm? So let me repeat those questions again. What is the story of overwhelm? When did you first experience overwhelm? And the third question is, what does overwhelm feel like in the body? Because what I want to say to you is that when we are in the story of overwhelm, that's what can lead us to trying to take our life, because it's too much. Whenever we hear a meditation teacher, a spiritual teacher, a Buddhist teacher say, sit with the feelings, we're not saying sit with the thoughts or the feeling of overwhelm. We're not saying sit with all the thoughts that make up overwhelm. No, because they are the thoughts. No, what we are teaching you to do is to sit with the sensations in the body. And you can stretch with the sensations in the body. You can sway with the sensations with the body. You can scream with the sensations with the body. Sing with the sensations of the body. This is what we mean when we say sit with the feelings. Sit with the unpleasantness in the body. And if it's too much, get up and walk. As soon as you've been assailed with this overwhelm of these thoughts, you need to get up and move. You need to get up and move. You might need to pinch yourself. You might need to shake yourself. You might need to jump up and down. And you might just need to say, stop, so that you can come back to the body. To help my daughter to deal with her struggles that made her cut herself many times. Yes, there may be many of you who have children who cut themselves. Many of you who have partners who cut themselves or friends who cut themselves. And what I want to tell you is that some of the reasons why people self-harm is because they are trying to feel. Yeah, they are trying to feel. Yes. That's why many people self-harm, because they have a desperate need to feel. And why do they have a desperate need to feel? Because they had their feelings taken away from them. Yes, they had their feelings taken away from them. And so when somebody says to me, how can I help my daughter from cutting herself? I say to you, how can you begin to help yourself to feel? And when you can begin to truly help yourself to feel the pain in the body, the sensations in the body, you can come to your daughter with compassion and ask her, what was it like for you as a child? You can say to her, I really know that you really want to feel. How can I help you to feel in a different way? And just know that this behavior of cutting is a protecting behavior. It's protecting your daughter from something. It's protecting your daughter from perhaps experiencing all those subtle emotions. Yeah. So just know, and you can tell your daughter, I get it. I get that you are trying to protect yourself. I get it. Yeah. And are you able to tell me what you are protecting yourself from? Yeah. Ask your daughter if you can get to know this protector. What does this protector need? What does this protector want? And if you were to give words to the cutting on your arm or on your leg or any part of the body, what would the cut say? I'm here to listen. I'm not here to stop you from doing what you're doing. I'm just here to listen. How best to listen and serve? I love this question. How best to listen and serve? From my own experience, the best way to listen is to begin to listen to your body. There are there are several things that we can do with listening. One of the things I love doing when I'm working with young people, working with kids, and I say, okay, what do you notice about the word listen, and what do you notice about the word silent? What do you notice about the word listen, and what do you notice about the word silent? And the words have the same letters. So when you listen, you're silent, and when you're silent, you listen. Also, I really love it when I'm working with young people and I'm teaching them something and they've got their hand up. Miss, they got their hand up, and I say, who are you listening to right now? And they put their hand down slowly because they get it, because while I'm talking, who they're listening to, if they've got their hand up, is listening to what they want to say next. And so, for example, the mother who wants to help the daughter who is self-harming, if you're truly listening, you will listen, and you will not listen to the story that you've got in your head. You will listen. And maybe when you start listening to the stories in your head, you would just say, I just need to take a pause here. Just let me take a breath before I hear some more. So this is some of the ways that we can learn to listen. How best to serve? For me, the best way to serve is to walk our talk. And that's been my practice. How do I walk my talk? How do I listen? How when I work with people who with addictions and they say, what can I give you? You've helped me to change my life and transform. And I say, you don't need to give me anything. What you can give the world is be recovery. Yeah, that's the best way to serve. You don't need to write the books. You don't need to give the public talks. That's the easy thing. And I can say that because I write books and I give talks. That's the easy thing. The hardest thing is to live recovery. The hardest thing, that's the hardest. So that's the best way to serve, is to walk your talk. How do I learn to go easier on myself mentally? I really encourage you to look in the library of Round Glass. There are many of us teachers who have practices on loving kindness. This is how I learned to love myself. You will, if you go into my meditations, you will hear me talk about how I used to hate myself with a vengeance. And today I love myself. And so it's a practice. Just know it's a practice. And if you commit to the practice, you will begin to hear that voice, I love myself. And just know when that voice says, I hate myself, or when those negative voices come up, just know that you are experiencing some vulnerability. I'm hoping to learn more self-love and self-compassion. Yes. We'll begin to end it there. That's a lovely place to begin with, to learn to love oneself and have more self-compassion. I'm really going to now invite you to hold yourself and to smile. It's often said that people who have attempted to take their life, that one thing that has just brightened up their day is when somebody has actually looked at them and smiled. And just know I'm looking at you right now and smiling. And sometimes we just need to be held. And we need to be held with love. And we really can hold ourselves. One of the ways I used to hold myself when I really had this real need to be held, I would go into the swimming pool or go into the bathtub and allow myself to be held by the water. In fact, I used to go in float tanks. I had a phase of floating just so that I could surrender and be held. And right now, I'm holding your heart, each and every one of your heart. And I feel your heart. I feel the heaviness of your heart. I feel the sadness of your heart. I feel the constriction of your heart. I feel the expansion of your heart. I feel the lightness of your heart. I feel the joy of your heart. I'm holding your heart. And as I hold your heart, I will sing to you. And may you feel the words. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be free from the roots and the causes of suffering. May all beings experience joy, peace, and love. From your heart to my heart, we are connected. We are one. We are love. We are joy. Thank you for joining me today, for having the courage to sit with me. And remember, this practice extends beyond this moment, extends beyond this day, because you can meditate with Round Glass live every single day. Check us out at round.glass and on our app. So